Hi, this is John Schinker. I'm the technology coordinator for the Brecksville-Broadview Heights schools here in Northeast Ohio, and I'm responsible for the technology for the school district. We have about 6 schools and 4,700 students, and I'm responsible for the computers and networks, professional development, acquisition, technology planning, basically everything that goes along with technology use here in the schools. This past summer, I had the opportunity to be part of a Teachers Without Borders Canada project where we went to uh, Africa to provide technology training for teachers, school leaders, and non governmental organizations in South Africa and Kenya. We spent 6 weeks in Africa working with teachers in rural Kenya and the black townships in South Africa, and it was just an amazing experience to be in a setting that's so completely different from anything that I had experienced before or been used to. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of the challenges that we faced and what we did about them as we were working with these teachers in these schools. And in South Africa, for example, we were working in the black townships, which are relatively poor areas in Cape Town. And these are places where the black people were moved during apartheid, when segregation was happening. They were moved into these areas, and many of them, thousands of them, are living in informal housing that they have built out of corrugated iron or scraps of wood or whatever they happen to be able to find, and they're on squatted land. Many of them don't have electricity, many of them don't have running water. And these are the students and the teachers in the schools that we were working with. And we found that when they came in, they were just thrilled to be working with technology and to be learning about technology because they see it really as a way forward and a way out for many of their students. So they're so eager to work with or learn as much as they can about using ICT and using technology. One of the big challenges we had in the schools, though, is that everything in South Africa is metered in terms of internet access. There's no such thing as a high-speed, unlimited connection. So when you buy internet access for a school, for example, they get 3 gigabits per month that they're allowed to transfer over that link. And once they have reached that limit, then they lose internet connectivity for the rest of the month. So, we found that we were reaching that limit. We were there at the beginning of July, and certainly before we left, by the time we were done with our workshops, we had pretty much consumed the school's internet bandwidth for the month, just being there for a little more than a week. So we really worked hard on trying to come up with solutions or change our thinking a little bit from that always on connection sort of approach that we have in North America. The first thing we had to do, for example, is turn off automatic updates. Every program on my computer checks for updates, whenever you launch it, and we really can't afford to be pulling down all of those updates all of the time. Now that introduces some issues with viruses and security problems, but really we had to be a little bit more sane about checking for updates. Cloud computing was impractical. We initially went in thinking, hey, this is going to be great because we'll get these teachers using Google Docs, and they'll be using Gmail, and they'll be sharing documents, collaborating with documents. They'll be able to create spreadsheets and word processing documents and things and store them on Google Apps. Well, the problem with that, of course, is that Google Apps takes a lot of bandwidth, and you have to maintain that internet connection to get access to your documents. So that turned out to be kind of impractical for them because, even if they do have the bandwidth to use it, once they get to the end of the month and they don't have internet access, they also wouldn't have access to their documents. So we focused instead on using the desktop applications. We gave them an offline version of Wikipedia so that they could do some basic research and have their students looking up things on Wikipedia without actually having to be online. We also worked with their technology people to improve the caching. They had proxy servers set up in the schools, and so we increased and were very aggressive about the caching so that when one student or one teacher goes to a particular website, most of that content is saved locally so that when others request it can be served locally and reduce their bandwidth. When we got to Kenya, it was a whole different story. We went to rural Kenya. Mbita, Kenya is on the shore of Lake Victoria in western Kenya, and this is a place where there aren't a lot of paved roads. There aren't. We went to 10 schools, and none of them had electricity. Typically the schools don't have running water. Many of the students don't have shoes. If you're a teacher in one of those schools, basically you have a room full of kids, maybe 45 students in the early grades, especially first grade, second grade. You'd have 45 kids and desks and chalk, and that's basically it. But we were there to do technology trainings, to do ICT training, and so we had these 50 teachers coming from these schools and living in these conditions, and they, just like in South Africa, were so eager to be learning as much as they can about technology and ICT, and our challenge was to come up with something that was relevant for them. How do we make use of technology relevant when they had very limited access? We were working in a student center that had 11 computers available, and we had 50 teachers there for the workshop, and we did not have internet access, and the electrical power was kind of spotty, so we had to be planning for power outages and expect that, okay, what are you going to do with these 50 teachers when the electricity goes out? So that was quite a challenge. We did a lot of work with flip videos and digital cameras and laptops and things that ran on batteries, so we had some contingency plans there that we could implement to do some digital storytelling sessions. We also focused a lot on personal productivity because we realized that the teachers aren't going to be able to get computers for their students in their schools anytime soon, so we kind of focused on what the teacher can do to connect to other teachers and exchange resources and build communities. We also did a lot of work on pedagogy because there are many things that we kind of take for granted here in North America that they hadn't heard of. They hadn't done much work with cooperative learning, for example, or multiple intelligences. So we focused on those types of sessions as well. So the teachers were really learning how to be a teacher that fosters cooperative learning and students doing innovative thinking and problem solving and collaboration, and that lays a lot of the groundwork for technology once it is available to them. So, in general, we ended up with very enthusiastic teachers. I was surprised at how excited they were about the types of things that we were doing and the types of things that they were doing once we left. We built a lot of connections. We're still maintaining these connections. We set up some nings so that they can interact with one another. We're using email, we're using Skype to keep in contact, and really the focus is connecting them with each other so that they can learn from one another. The whole idea of building a community and then relying on that community to learn and to further your own professional growth is a wonderful one. So it was a wonderful experience. It was certainly a challenging experience. It was the kind of experience that kind of expands your thinking a little bit, and I was privileged to be a part of it.